rAVe Radio. With rants and raves, you'll be okay. And today is your lucky day. It is rants and raves with Gary K.
Hey everyone, this is Gary K, and welcome to another post-Infocom edition of my Rants and Raves video cast. This time we're with TJ Trojan, Senior Vice President of TD SYNNEX. TJ, first off, both of you and I have the same problem. We both lost our voice from the show, so we're going to do the best we can today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. I was just telling you before we started. We had two events in a row, so I think we had to have somewhere between 80 and 100 meetings over 9 days. So yeah, I lost my voice and I caught a cold. So
you're isolated in your office. Although I will say the show was a really, really good show. I mean, you did have your event the week before, which was huge. You involved the whole town of Greenville in BMW, but then you also had Infocom the week after, and you're really happy.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what, and you know this because you've lived that world just like I have for so many years, but it's like a homecoming.
Yeah.
You know, when you see these partners that you've been doing business with in a lot of cases 20, 30 years. And, it's tiring because you go from, 2 breakfasts and 3 dinners, plus meetings all day, right? And maybe a cocktail in between for a number of days. So it's tiring, but it's energizing because you just feel, it's more than a partnership when you're at Infocom at these events. These are friends of ours now. And we missed that during the pandemic. We really missed that, getting together with friends and partners.
Well, let me ask you this, because obviously SYNNEX, TD SYNNEX kind of covers all elements of the industry. I'm kind of curious as to when you were meeting with people at the show, what were the focus? I mean, obviously UC has been a big part of our market because of the pandemic, and digital signage is a big part of it coming out.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what people were excited about, both technology-wise and sort of like movement in the industry.
I do think, Gary, this is a function of, to some extent, the pandemic, right? Because we saw a lot of our partners, and we did too. We all had to pivot our business a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think some of the traditionalists in the AV have really expanded into new categories because they had to, right? When it was so slow during the pandemic. So obviously UC and collaboration is huge. Remote working and remote learning were, the big things during the pandemic, but much more than that, connectivity, security, infrastructure. So a lot of our discussion was, what's going on in the AV world? How is that transitioning? How's the business look? But also, what else are you getting into? Because I think one of the things that TD SYNNEX does really well, and we did very well during the pandemic, because we were having record sales during the pandemic, even though a lot of our core of our portfolio was not being sold at the time. We can help stand up our partners in new business, especially if they're adjacent or synergistic, right? So connectivity, unified communications, collaboration, very, synergistic to a lot of the AV players who've got into the video endpoint business, right? So expanding that into the cloud communications. You saw Zoom was there, a little bit of a pre-announcement, but we will be launching Zoom July 1st. So that's good news. Obviously, Microsoft Teams were there, and you see other cloud communications. I was talking to the folks at Avixa, about what their appetite was actually to expand, maybe bring some of the other UCaaS and CCaaS players, and maybe even the connectivity players. I saw, for instance, Verizon in a lot of the booths, right?
Yeah.
5G and connectivity are new areas that I think are adjacent to what these folks do, especially when you look at the applications, the solutions around AV, because digital signage does today, but will in the future have more LTE and 5G connectivity rather than Wi-Fi. So those are all kind of areas I think everyone's exploring.
Well, I mean, you're talking about services and adding more services into the channel that we currently don't have. I mean, it's funny, we're serving up a lot of the gear to connect to these services, but we're not selling the services themselves. How successful do you think an integrator will be at selling bandwidth and selling some of these other, AV as a services has been sort of, lumped together as, because I'm a little concerned about that because I don't know that we have a good track record at selling services.
Yeah, again, you see, so many of the larger AV integrators have already kind of pivoted, as you know, right? And a lot of the UC players have pivoted as well. I think it's slow going, but again, I think you have to look at where the market opportunities are, and that's the kind of the discussion, the advice that we've been giving our partners is, if you have a core competency and you're killing it, that's great. But if you feel like you need to extend your portfolio, there are some adjacent spaces you can do, and obviously, cloud communications is one of those. Why not get recurring revenue streams if you're selling the endpoints? It doesn't make sense. It's a very profitable business as well. And once you build that up, you have an annuity of profit that's coming in every month. So there are partners out there who have $3 million a month in recurring revenue that is fundamentally 100% gross profit, right? Because it's just straight commission based. So I think it's happening. It's not happening as fast, I think, as we would all like. But that's some of the discussion we had is let us help you do that, help you make that pivot. We have the expertise and the engineering in place to support that business.
How does that affect your business when integrators switch from CapEx sales to OpEx sales, and sort of how are you setting yourself up to leverage that?
Well, I will tell you, you sell more endpoints, more hardware when you're providing connectivity and cloud communications, right? So if you become an expert, because to me, it's really providing the solution. So if you only want to,
does that mean you're opening up the access to the other products? Because I know TD-SYNNEX is huge and has, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but you have the IT side and you have the communication side, and AV is sort of separate from that. You have the Varnex traditional stuff, the UC traditional stuff that you've run for many years. We haven't had access to the other stuff as easily.
Yeah, no. Well, first of all, our entire portfolio is available to all of our partners. Some of them are authorized only, but it's not hard to get authorizations in most cases. And we just see so much convergence. I mean, you didn't see. I don't know when was Zoom started showing up at info conferences. I know Microsoft that MTR has been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing I've seen kind of in the UC and connectivity space. In the old days, you go to something like a channel partners, like or an Enterprise Connect,
right,
and you see the carriers, and then all of a sudden you're seeing the Polys, right, and the Neats and the Logis of the world, right, and you're seeing Cradlepoint. So routers are in there. So I think the same thing's happening, and I do think in the long run, our AV integrators who haven't pivoted in some of those new areas are going to have to, because I do think end users are always looking for a full solution, and they don't want to necessarily get Teams from one partner and then the endpoints that make Teams a real solution, like with voice and video, from another partner. So I think we can help our partners do that. We're seeing more of it, and we're seeing more of that on the floor as well. So voice and video was, really strong at InfoComm, in addition to traditional AV things, and I think it's all converging.
And tell me about your, kind of give us a sneak preview of you're going to offer Zoom. Are you going to be focused on the room or also as a service?
All of those things, because again, we think the magic is not just offering the cloud communications, and of course, Zoom is getting into voice as well. So endpoints are a part of that discussion, obviously. So our focus really is to offer the full solution to our partners. Now, we know some folks were just going to offer the cloud communications, and some will just offer the endpoint solutions. But our goal is to get everyone to provide both ends of that spectrum. And back to your previous question, when you can certainly do device as a service if you want, but most of our traditional AV UC players still want the top line revenue associated with endpoints, and will use whatever platform that they need for recurring revenue streams. Some are going completely all in and offering both, maybe hardware as a buy sell, a traditional model, and then maybe DAS along with the cloud communications and connectivity as a service that they want.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to watch. And I really think y'all are in a good position to help with the services side of things and to explain sort of how to help. I mean, as you said, the big guys got it. It's everyone else that doesn't have it. And that's a big chunk of our industry, right? The big guys only make up about 3 or 4 billion of the total industry. Then an industry, it's nearly 100 billion. So you've got a lot to work on there to sort of help the as a service model. So, I think a lot of people don't realize all that TD-SYNNEX does. So make sure you check them out at tdsynnex.com, because they do offer all these services we've been talking about. In addition to security, is another area that I think is going to grow in a big way, especially cybersecurity, physical security, everything.
Yeah, security is exploding. With the market dynamics, we had, and I think the AV integrator had a record year last year, even though there were supply chain issues. Supply was actually, great enough for people to grow pretty
And
significantly.
actually you helped with that because you offered alternatives. Yeah.
We did, yeah. So, when you're out of one product, there was a substitute opportunity
Yeah.
for sure. But what we're seeing right now is, we've talked obviously to a lot of partners over the last 2 weeks, and they're still seeing really strong business. That's not what you hear from Avixia and AV in general, but what we're hearing is they're still working on backlog from last year, believe it or
Yeah.
not. Bookings are down a little bit, but we have seen, the market overall has been a little bit slow the last few months, especially in the device space. So endpoints have been down, but advanced solutions, infrastructure and security have been growing like crazy. So those are opportunities. We do see some opportunities, especially with RTO. So that affects both AV and obviously communications, right? Conference room, remote and office work environments still need to be upgraded. If you think about it, folks kind of piecemealed their solutions together 3 years ago, 4 years ago during the pandemic, right? And now they need to upgrade that both at home and in the office. And we have seen RTO compliance is a little slow, as you probably heard. So a lot of enterprise customers have been a little slow to upgrade the technology in the office because they want more people in the office before they do it. But I think to some extent it's a chicken or an egg.
Yeah.
Upgrade the technology, they will come. But so I think we certainly see upside going in the second half of this year for sure.
That's good to hear. Check them out at tdsynnex.com. TJ, thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And if you want to see all of our InfoComm coverage, including the videos we shot at the numerous TD SYNNEX partners, go to raypubs.com/infocom. All of our coverage is there. I don't know if you knew this, TJ, but we shot almost 1,600 videos in 3 days. Pretty amazing.
I saw you in our booth. I did want to say one thing. Thank you for your Ray readers for choosing TD SYNNEX as their favorite distributor. That's
that was great. We made that announcement at InfoComm. So congratulations to you and Sandy and the rest of the team for that accomplishment. Again, tdsynnex.com. Thanks for joining me. Everyone have a great day.
Have a great week. Bye now.
rAVe Radio with Ransom.